A scheduled break in the New York hush money trial means former President Donald Trump is free to be right where he says he wants to be, on stage at a campaign rally. Today, it's Waukesha, Wisconsin. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. It's Waukesha, right? It's Waukesha. I mangled everything. Wisconsin, Waukesha. I don't even know what I'm doing. Vaughn, okay, so Donald Trump is at a rally. What are people saying about these trials?
Number one, he's currently speaking, and he's been speaking for about an hour. And perhaps surprisingly, he hasn't mentioned the trial once at this point in time. Is this an effect of the gag order and the potential violations? I'm not sure. But what we do know is the fact is that he's got at least some more of this speech, and then we've got one more event here in Michigan tonight. I think we've got some voter sound that our friend Shaquille Brewster just got it just a bit ago. Take a listen.
Slightly, but definitely not enough to, you know, my dad will talk about it, but I kind of tune it out, unfortunately, which I probably shouldn't. I guess I don't want somebody that has been through a trial for criminal offenses to be my president of the United States.
I mean, it just looks like a roadblock, but I assume if he were to get elected, he could do away with it. It's not too glaring to me that it would stop me from voting for him or anything like that.
Look, Americans have now lived through 4 indictments. They're living through a criminal trial. And for Donald Trump, if he over the next month is able to get through this trial, let's say even if he's found guilty or there's a hung jury, there's still going to be 5 months until the general election here. So that is plenty of time. And the reality is sinking in that we're unlikely to have another criminal trial. So for him, you know, and not even bringing attention to it on the campaign stage today, as an example, this could be a realization that, hey, if you make it through this, you've still got plenty of time to move the message away.
Even if he did have another criminal trial and say he was put in jail, say this criminal trial puts him in jail, it doesn't mean he can't still run for office. It doesn't mean he can't still run to be president. It doesn't mean that he can't still win. And then we're in a moment where I don't know how a president who's in jail governs. I don't know if a president who gets elected can stay in jail. I'm not sure how that Constitution will meet that out. I don't think anybody really is. It's never been tested before. But ultimately, this was always going to be an issue that needed to be decided at the ballot box. I think we need to remind people.
And clearly, from just this week alone, there are other variables at play. There are other issues that are going to hit at the core of each independent voter's voting decisions, right?
I found NBC News polling that we did the other day interesting. There was a number of divides in it, but one of them that stood out was the divide between younger women and younger men, with younger women breaking toward Democrats and younger men breaking toward Republicans. And we saw it there in that sound that Shaq gathered.
You know, I've had these conversations with the young generation, if we may. You know, dating back a year ago, I think you and I were having sort of this conversation. And so many young men grew up as him sort of being the godfather of this Republican Party, right? This certain person that they would idolize, their parents or their grandparents did. And there's a certain level of macho man that Donald Trump emits. And there are young people that look at him as what it means to be a leader, look at what it means to be the face of a redefined Republican Party. And for them, his behavior is not out of the ordinary. And for them, they see this guy as somebody have heard on college campuses themselves, right? They have been part of a conversation, a dialect that makes fun of and repudiates, right, sort of the causes on their campuses.
Donald Trump seems like normal politics for a lot of young people because it's all they've known. I mean, if you're 21 and voting, Donald Trump came onto the political scene in earnest when you were 11 years old. So, I mean, he's been around for nearly for 10 years now, for nearly 10 years, 9 years in terms of politicking and campaigning. But the divide again, I mean, it's young men who are breaking more toward him and Republicans, and young women who are looking and saying, I don't want to have anything to do with this. An interesting divide that we could see play out in November. Vaughn Hilliard, thank you very much. We will see you back at court tomorrow.